Hey guys, today is Monday, April 27th, and I'm going to start by reading chapter 10, The Family Begins to Starve. On your page, you should also be open to the book chapters, chapter 10, which is linked on the top of your Google Doc, and you should have the first two questions available. So, starting on page 37, The Family Begins to Starve. During the next 2 weeks, the weather turned very cold. First came the snow. It began very suddenly one morning, just as Charlie Bucket was getting dressed for school. Standing by the window, he saw the huge flakes drifting slowly down out of an icy sky that was the color of steel. By evening, it lay 4 feet deep around the tiny house, and Mr. Bucket had to dig a path from the front door to the road. After the snow, there came a freezing gale that blew for days and days without stopping. And oh, how bitter cold it was! Everything that Charlie touched seemed to be made of ice, and each time he stepped outside the door, the wind was like a knife on his cheek. Inside the house, little jets of freezing air came rushing in through the sides of the windows and under the doors, and there was no place to go to escape them. The four old ones lay silent and huddled in their bed, trying to keep the cold out of their bones. The excitement over the golden tickets had long since been forgotten. Nobody in the family gave a thought now to anything except the two vital problems of trying to keep warm and trying to get enough to eat. There is something about very cold weather that gives one an enormous appetite. Most of us find ourselves beginning to crave rich steaming stews and hot apple pies, and all the delicious warming dishes. And because we are all a great deal luckier than we realize, we usually get what we want, or near enough. But Charlie Bucket never got what he wanted because the family couldn't afford it. And as the cold weather went on and on, he became ravenously and desperately hungry. Both bars of candy, the birthday one and the one Grandpa Joe had bought, had long since been nibbled away, and all he got now were those thin cabbagey meals 3 times a day. Then all at once, the meals became even thinner. The reason for this was that the toothpaste factory, the place where Mr. Bucket worked, suddenly went bust and had to close down. Quickly, Mr. Bucket tried to get another job, but he had no luck. In the end, the only way in which he managed to earn a few pennies was by shoveling snow in the streets. But it wasn't enough to buy even a quarter of the food that 7 people needed. The situation became desperate. Breakfast was a single slice of bread for each person now, and lunch was maybe a half a boiled potato. Slowly but surely, everybody in the house began to starve. So we're going to pause here. We're about halfway down page 38, and let's go ahead and look at those questions. Number 1 asks us, why did the family seem to forget about the golden ticket? Okay, so if we go back and we're seeing why would the family forget about the golden ticket? I see right around here, down on the bottom of page 37, it talks about the golden tickets, and we're thinking about why they're starting to forget about Charlie winning. The excitement over the golden tickets have long since been forgotten. Nobody in the family gave a thought now to anything except the two vital problems of trying to keep warm and trying to get enough to eat. So we remember that during this time, it's freezing outside. The snow is piling up outside. The family is starving and frozen. So they're not really thinking about the golden ticket. It's not very important to them compared to the fact of staying warm and full. So if we look at our answer choices, we see A says the weather turned very cold. Now that's part of the reason why the family is having so many problems. It's because it's cold outside. So that could be correct. B, Charlie did not find the ticket. Well, that's true. He has not found the ticket, but that's not really the reason they're forgetting about it. There's other more important things happening about why they're not thinking of it. All 5 tickets had been found. Well, that's not true because they're still looking, but they just can't think about it. A lot of other stuff is going on. D, the family went to the toothpaste factory instead. So that's not true either because we know that Charlie's father works there and they didn't talk about any of the family visiting. So our best answer for this would be that the weather turned very cold, A. Number 2, what is the effect of the toothpaste factory going bust? So remember when we were here, Mr. Bucket works at the toothpaste factory. And we have to think about when it goes bust, what does that do to the family? How does that affect them? So Then all at once the meals became even thinner. The reason for this was the toothpaste factory, the place where Mr. Bucket worked, suddenly went bust and had to close down. So, the effect of the factory closing down is that the meals are getting thinner. Well, why are the meals getting thinner? He's not making any money. He's now shoveling snow for very few pennies, and that's not enough to buy food for the family. They were only able to buy those cabbage soups and buy enough food and bread because he had that job. Now, when the factory goes bust, he doesn't have that job, they don't have that money, and the family is getting very hungry. So, A, everyone decided to work at the chocolate factory instead. Nope, doesn't talk about that. In fact, nobody works there. Nobody's seen anyone come in and out. B, the family now had plenty of money. Well, actually, it's very much the opposite. The family has very little money now. C, the town was covered in toothpaste from the explosion. Now think about the fact that it goes bust. It does not mean it explodes. We don't see anything about the factory exploding. It just means that it closes down. And D, the family did not have enough money to buy food. That's actually the true answer. That's the right answer. They did not have enough money, and that is the effect of the toothpaste factory going bust. So the answer is D. Now, on your own, you need to finish up this chapter starting at "and" on page 38, going down, down, down to chapter 11. So from page 38 to page 42, you'll be able to answer the next two questions. And then from there, you're going to do chapter 11 all on your own. And you will answer those questions. Remember to reference the book and do your best.